Hello, and welcome back to Talon Sports Club. We are here with an audio edition of Sports Club. Unfortunately, last week we weren't able to record due to some technical difficulties, and today some other issues have come up, and we are now doing an audio version just to get an episode back out here. And, no visuals, but we are going to bring you...
Show must go on, right?
We're going to bring you the same old show as always. I am your host, Jack McElligott, alongside Ian Wild, Zach Harshfager. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling all right, personally.
Feel great. Like I mentioned, show must go on. I'm excited. Let's do this thing.
I'm pretty excited as well. And I'm excited for one thing in particular to start out this show. Ian Wild, currently, again, dressed in Montreal Canadiens gear. Mm-hmm. The same jersey and hat that I think you've worn before here on Sports Talk. I believe in the first episode, actually, of Sports Club this season. If you want to know what Ian's fit is, just go back and watch that video.
Yep.
But we're recording on the second night of the NHL season. Connor Bedard just hit his first NHL goal.
Yep, literally minutes before we started recording this.
Less than just over 10 minutes ago before the broadcast. And I'm pretty excited for the NHL season as a Sabres fan. It's nice to go into the season with some playoff hope for the first time in a while. The Canadiens, not quite.
Not yet.
Playoff hopefuls, but, you're in a spot where you can have a little bit of fun as a team. And when Zach chooses to watch the Rangers, I'm sure he'll have a good time. It's a good thing you lifted up your fist to say that when we're audio right now.
Go Rangers. Sorry, I keep forgetting we're audio. Go Rangers.
Go Rangers, but only when Zach feels like it. Bleacher Report put out their top 5 power rankings. I just want to see how you're feeling about this. Ian, our local hockey expert, formerly on Sports Talk. The Leafs are ranked in at number 5. Golden Knights at 4. Stars at 3, New Jersey Devils at 2, and your dearly beloved Carolina Hurricanes ranked at the top. I think that's a pretty safe ranking. I don't know if I would have the Leafs top 5. If you, that
I think I would personally.
Yeah, I think I would have the Avalanche a bit higher than they have them. They have them ranked 7th.
No, that's totally fair. I think Colorado's going to be... People seem to think that Colorado's on the downturn now, and I really like the moves they made in the offseason to solidify their depth, especially Ross Colton. I think Alexander Georgiev's going to be better second year in the system. They still got the same core. They still got McKinnon and Makar. Those two guys are beasts. They're still well coached.
Makar's still going to be one
I don't see any reason why Colorado's not a Stanley Cup contender this year again.
Yeah. And I mean, the Stars, Devils, and Hurricanes... I feel like, the Devils do deserve to up there, but I feel like it is a bit assumptuous to say that they're just going to be number 2.
Two's high.
That's like they're really like you're betting on everything to go well with their improvement, where it's not exactly linear. And the 90th run, I don't think they're going to be going to be able to replicate that. I really just want to see them be more consistent. I mean, they made great moves. They're going to be a playoff team for sure. I'd be shocked if they weren't. But the Hurricanes on top, I still think that you could say like the NHL playoffs are such a flip of the dice sometimes. It feels like you could still say Hurricanes have been the best team in the NHL for a bit now. And
can't quite get to the final, though.
Can't quite get to the final. That's what I mean.
It's going to be a tough fight at the top of that division, though, because I think New Jersey has certainly the best offense in that division, possibly the league. And their defense is starting around to form, too, with some young talent. But what really worries me is their goaltending, and that's what I think holds New Jersey back from being number 2. That's why I wouldn't rank them that high. I don't have nearly as much faith in their goaltending. Akira Schmid and Vitek Vanacek are a fine tandem, but unless one of them catches fire, which could happen...
They're going to be beat by in goaltending by other people in their division.
Yeah, Carolina's
like
tandem's
Rangers.
Always very good.
Hurricanes,
with Anderson and Ranta, and obviously Igor Shesterkin's a beast, as he always is. Rangers will be up there too, and I think those are going to be the top 3 teams in the Metro. The question is just what order they're going to be in. In terms of which of those 3 teams has the best chance of making a run at the Stanley Cup, I think Carolina, because they're just the best built team possibly in the league. It's just a question of can they just get that missing offensive spark that I think was what held them back from getting to the final last year. I think they would have had a much better shot at Vegas than Florida did. If Carolina can just get a little more on that offensive side, that could take them finally over the hump to winning that Stanley Cup. They could have used Andrei Svechnikov in the playoffs last year. That was a big loss. And he's back now.
Yeah, they're going to have, I mean, it's basically if things go their way. That's kind of just, in sports, but in the NHL, it feels like, like just missing one or two players or like somebody going on a cold streak or a hot streak. I mean, it's really just, you got the goaltender, your players just playing out their mind in the playoffs at the right time. And I don't know if the Rangers got that in them this year, Zach. They're ranked 8th here on the list. That feels about right to me. I feel like the Devils and Hurricanes are the better teams right now. Oh,
I agree.
Wow, he just agrees. I didn't expect that. It's not as fun when you just agree.
Look, I think they're a good team, but not as good as the other teams on that list as we saw last season. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we saw it in the playoffs with New Jersey over New York.
Yeah.
That being said, new coaching for the Rangers this year. It'll be interesting to see.
True.
Like, can they feel like they're kind of stuck in neutral right now after I've seen some people say that they've already missed their shot 2 years ago when they lost to Tampa in the conference finals. That was their opportunity. I think this team still has one more deep run in them in the next few years, but how are they going to get to that? If they're going to make it to the conference finals, they're going to have to go through either Carolina or New Jersey, or potentially even both of them. Yeah. It's going to be a tough road, but I think they're capable of it. As long as you got Igor Shesterkin and he's healthy, they at least have a chance.
Yeah, when you have the best goaltender in the Eastern Conference, just him, it's good to rely on him to catch fire.
Are we sure he's better than Andrei Vasilevsky at this point? Although, to be fair, Vasilevsky's going to be missing a lot of time.
Yes. That's why I say arguably. It's a guy who just catches fire. Obviously, Marquette that season last year, but has to be a bit more proven than he currently is. Vasilevsky, obviously, the most proven goaltender in the NHL right now.
Speaking of those two, like that Atlantic division is even, I think, more interesting than the Metropolitan, because whereas there's like 3 teams in the Metro that, I could see them making a run if things fall right. I could see potentially 5 teams in the Atlantic that could do that.
Can't forget, the Golden Knights are still going to be who they are,
in the
Cup
West.
Champions, so.
In the West, yes. Vegas is still going to be up there among the favorites, but Vegas has, I think, a bit of an easier path in their division. I think the only team I see in the Pacific that could rival them in the regular season
the Sharks.
Good one. I could see Edmonton giving them a run for that division title. I think those two will be the top 2. Whereas in the Atlantic division, there's 5 teams that I think are playoff caliber easily that have potential to get in and maybe make a run if things fall right. Maple Leafs, Bruins, Panthers, Lightning, Sabres, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, I think, the Leafs have a easier shot than they do last year. But again, thought that the year before. And the Bruins just caught fire like they did. Things just happen.
Boston,
I don't expect Boston to replicate much of what they did last year.
They don't have the horseshoe up their ass anymore, and they don't have Patrice Bergeron. I don't know which of those is more important, but they're both big losses. Losing a guy like Patrice Bergeron to retirement.
He just affects.
I was looking at their center depth the other day, and it's obvious. It's a gaping hole down the middle. It's going to be tough for them to fill.
Yeah.
It's going to next man up mentality, and they're going to struggle, I think, a lot more this year than last year. It's going to be, I think they absolutely could still make the playoffs, but they ain't going to be anywhere near 65 wins again. They're going to be in the thick of that hunt, like around 3rd in the Atlantic, maybe as low as 5th. I think they're being in that range.
Yeah, when you look at the past decade plus, there's a handful of players that have affected both ends of the ice combined more than Patrice Bergeron. Maybe not even. He's just like a quarterback equivalent of just like an AHL team. Like there's superstars that will just like dominate everything. But when you're he's just like the player that you build a team around and philosophy around is really what just the way he plays. And now moving on from that, it feels like last year, what was just that whole Boston era they had, it seemed like one last triumph, and then it went out suddenly on a whimper. It was it was like the wily old veteran give it all, and then just suddenly absolutely gassed after they had the greatest performance in their life in the 8th round. It got knocked out in a minute.
Yeah.
But another team in that division, the Sabres, Buffalo Sabres, are ranked 16th in the power rankings. There's some hope that they are improving and can fight for a playoff spot again, and this time get in. Zach's already shaking his head.
We finally got him to disagree on something.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the Sabres, it's not as easy as some people say for them to come in and be a playoff team just like that. Last year they were really good, but they've improved their defense. They've gotten better on that line with more depth than just Darlene Powers and them. They have Darlene and Owen Bowers on extensions now. Darlene at 11 million, and Owen Powers at, I believe, 8 million.
That one's just signed moments before we started as well.
Moments before. And I mean, just great deals, because Owen Powers could easily just be end up being almost as good as Darlene, and you're gonna have him on that cheaper contract. Like signing about Owen Powers and you did is really big, because because he didn't have the raw point totals last year, people don't exactly look at how positively he affected the Sabres' offense, and
defensive defensemen still exist, folks.
Was getting better at the defensive side when he had the right pairings around him, and he will this year. But the goaltender, I don't think you could expect Levi to be a workhorse, play like like if you're having him playing like 50 games plus. I think he's going to run into struggles, and some Sabres fans are kind of head in the sand a little bit about it, and a little bit, with UPL, how he might be beat out, Comrie. I mean, it's still some of the concerns of last year, and that's just expecting, the young players to improve linearly. You're going to have Hughes out for a bit. You're going to have still a lot of great players from last year. They got the same core. They're going to get better. I expect them to be a better team than they were last year, but when I've had them, beat my hope in hockey out of me for over a decade now, it is a little bit much. It is a little bit much to try and jump back in.
Here's the thing, Jack. I know you've said the Sabres fan base may have its head in the sand, might be getting a little too high. Well, if my head is from fully buried in the sand all the way up to my shoulders, frankly, I think this team...
We got to get them out, Zach.
Yeah, we do.
This team's going to be really good. I'm really excited for them. I think there could be potentially home ice in the first round good.
All right, let's not go that far.
No, I really think they have that potential.
It's Buffalo.
They remind me so much of the Devils from last year. That team that finally took that step and popped. And I think the Sabres in some ways are built even better than they are. I think they're a little deeper at forward. The defense is better. I think Connor Clifton, massive loss for Boston. I think it's underrated, them losing him. He's going to really help this Buffalo defense. And Eric Johnson, everyone hated that signing, but it's a veteran guy from a Stanley Cup champion who's on that Colorado team that won it a few years ago. And from what I've seen from Devin Levi, everyone thinks, he's still young. Which he is. He still is going to run into a rough patch at some point, but he's passed every test he's faced so far in the NHL. Like end of the regular season last year, Sabres fighting for a playoff spot, did everything he could. He looked pretty solid in preseason. This guy could be in the mix for the Calder Trophy. I really think so.
He 100% can. It's just, like you said, everything you guys said is like best case scenario, like you said. Like I think Johnson. But then those are signings that make you a playoff and a championship level team, getting that depth on top of these young guys. And I feel like the Devils has made people be like, that's just how it's gonna happen. Like I
don't think it's set. I just think it's proof that it can. They can have that type of breakout. I don't think they're going to win the division, but second or third, especially third, I think very possible.
Yeah.
Very, very possible. And this team, if they make the playoffs, which I do think they will, I don't know if I'd want to play them, because even though they have a lot of inexperience, very few of their guys will have been in a playoff type situation. Those types of teams can be really dangerous. Just ask the Rangers last year, and they ran into the Devils. Teams that very young, they feel like they almost have nothing to lose. Even though obviously they want to go deep, it's like, let's enjoy it. Our first experience, soak it in, learn what we can for the future. there's not nearly as much pressure on those teams as there's going to be on the Leafs or the Panthers or the Lightning or the Bruins in the Atlantic Division, like their potential opponents. Or if they're a wild card and go to face Carolina. I think that's going to really play their advantage. I would not want to play the Sabres if they find a way in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle in the East-West and the NHL. Lots of question marks that have to be answered, and lots of predictions that are going to likely be very wrong by the end of the season.
Before we move on, really quick, explanation, Stanley Cup pick.
Huh?
Really quick Stanley Cup pick, no explanation, just go.
Hurricanes.
Oilers.
Sabres.
You can't win the cup if you don't make the playoffs.
You never know. I've been wrong before.
So
yeah, true. This guy, the Kraken, won the cup last year.
You're taking a pick that you don't believe in?
I do believe it. I don't
Then
want to believe it.
why were you...
I don't want to believe it, but
You
they're a good
just
enough
make
team.
no sense sometimes.
They're a good enough team.
They are? You were just saying they weren't. You were shaking your head.
Because I don't want to believe that they are, but they are. So.
The Zach
Zach is having
Harnisch-Feger
an
experience,
identity-
folks. We love you, Zach.
Identity crisis right now. My God. I think he just disassociated.
Too bad we don't have cameras
back
just to
here.
zoom in on his face
Yeah,
right now.
I don't know. Zach, how about we throw you a bone here and skip to a topic that you might love here. The Jaguars and Bills in London. Jaguars are undefeated, London 2-0. The Bills lose and have two injuries that could potentially take them out of Super Bowl contention. It's pretty tough. We'll get more into that. But Zach, how about you just you have the floor right now.
Well, I'm sick of all the excuses about why they lost. Oh, they lost Matt Milano. Oh, they're injured on defense. Oh, it was jet lag. Well, here's a.
Do we want to bring up that you were wanted to talk about Anthony Richardson on the IR?
I'm not making
for
an
Colts?
excuse.
That feels like you're making excuses for your team.
No.
Yeah.
Gardner
Just saying.
Minshew. We'll be fine with Gardner Minshew. That's all I gotta say. Anyway,
He says.
I don't want to hear about jet lag. Okay, get there on a Wednesday, Thursday. You won't have that problem. Secondly, the defense. I feel bad for Matt Milano. Great player. Hope he makes a full recovery. But that Jags team was just a better team that day, and I think they should move to London with how well they do
Might
in
help 'em out.
London.
Yeah. With how
They seem to be very successful in London. So.
Yeah,
Here's
they're
my
very
thoughts on that.
successful when they have multiple weeks to stay there.
Here's what I think with the Bills. That loss, compared to a lot of Bills losses from the last 2 seasons, although there haven't been many, typically when the Bills lose, they find a way to lose in just spectacular fashion that has you shaking your head and wondering what just happened. Like whether it's throwing 3 interceptions and having a punt return for a touchdown, or just laying an egg in a home playoff game, or losing in 13 seconds. This one was sure, I know you say it's an excuse, but I'm sure the jet lag played a factor. And even if not for the injuries, I still think they probably would have lost that game, but not because, the jet lag screwed them, even though I think it played a part. Jacksonville's just a good team. They just got outplayed on that day by another good team. I don't think the sky needs to fall over that.
I needed the Bills to win that game. I needed them to win that game.
The sky's falling because they've lost their 3 best defensive players.
That's the problem is. It's not the game itself. It's the fact that Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White are out for the season, essentially.
Because you watch the Jaguars, their whole passing attack was predicated on attacking the middle of the field where Milano is that whole time, and taking advantage of the fact that it wouldn't be on the rush or on that, and that the defensive line, secondary are just, they lost their best 3 players in every phase in the defense. And now they got to rely on their depth.
Daquan Jones is looking massively improved from last season.
That was really nice. He made a huge play, but I could care less about making excuses for a Jaguars loss. I just when you're trying to compete for a Super Bowl, this is what kills people. This is what has killed the Ravens. Why people why they haven't been able to have a run since Lamar's MVP season. Why they haven't been able to do stuff like that. It's what's killing. I mean, the Bengals right now have looked off. They won this week, but with Joe Burrow, it's just the stuff that can kill you. And the Kansas City Chiefs have looked worse so far this season because they've had some people injured and banged up. They will likely have enough time unless things go more wrong for them and you get more injuries. They'll be good as the season goes on. but the Bills now have the 3 top players out. That the best timetable is maybe they can come in cold during the playoffs and come in.
That being said, does this mean the Bills' season is over and they don't have a shot? Not by any means.
Because the AFC is much weaker than it seemingly was in previous years.
Doesn't look nearly as stacked. I think, we've mentioned this before, the hierarchy in that conference seems to be, I think the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Bills are the top teams. And then there's a second tier of Bengals, Jaguars, teams like that, which, to be fair, those two can definitely ascend into that top tier, but I don't think they're there at this point in the season. With Buffalo, these injuries are definitely going to hurt, but frankly, we've seen the NFL teams be able to go on Super Bowl runs with okay defenses. Like the Chiefs, we've said this before, I think this is the best defense Mahomes has ever had, and he's already won 2 Super Bowls with good, not great defenses. And I still think this Bills defense can be good. It's just that losing Milano and White takes away their potential to be great. It's going to hurt, and it makes their path certainly a lot harder. But as long as they got Josh Allen, Diggs still healthy and going, they got a shot.
They're not going to the Super Bowl. So.
Okay, that's good analysis.
Yeah,
good
brilliant
reasoning.
Analysis. You deserve an Emmy.
The AFC, when I say it's weaker, they still have great teams. I think they're stronger than.
And there's still a long way to go.
Yeah. Really, the 49ers are just the team that's really just seems like above and beyond right now.
Absolutely.
They're an absolute machine, but we haven't talked about it as much because it's not as fun to just talk about a team being completely dominant and coaching just better than everybody else.
Yeah, we like to talk about the opposite usually.
Yeah,
like the Patriots. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the Patriots. On to our next topic. Great transition, Zach. You're getting better at this.
Thank you.
The Patriots lost 34-0. The worst shutout loss at home in franchise history, trying to respond to a loss. They ended up getting destroyed by the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah.
The Saints?
The Saints. The
Derek Carr?
The Aints?
The Saints are not a bad team, but blowing out New England like that in New England? Really? Is this really a Bill Belichick coached team?
I don't know if it is.
Bill.
Is he checked out?
Bill, what are we doing?
Are the lights on?
Is there someone dressed up in his hoodie? Is there just some imposter?
What's going on? Is his son playing him like a puppet on
Maybe
the sideline?
Taylor Swift. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
They had their shot and they already lost her.
Who does Bill Belichick need a date to be a good coach again?
Shakira.
Shakira, that's a good one.
She's good at escaping her
She's
problems,
Jimmy Butler.
mainly her taxes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the Patriots got a lot of problems right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Especially at the quarterback position.
Oh boy, what's the Mac Jones take from Mr. Harnischweger here?
He's terrible.
He's just not.
He's looked pretty bad.
He's very good at throwing the ball to the other team.
Oh, wow.
I will play.
Guy's a bust.
Oh, I don't know if Jack Jones deserves that much venom.
I was going to say, to play devil's advocate, I think he would look a lot better if he had a lot more help around him. This team, frankly, has no receivers, no run game, no offensive line. He gets no support, and he's not the type of quarterback you can throw in to carry the team on his back. He is a system quarterback. He's what everyone thought Brady was in New England, and now there's no system.
Yeah, just that's what it feels like. It feels like they don't have the players in the system anymore. People talk about Brady, but just like everybody around him, they have nobody like Edelman, Wes Welker, or just people that you can plug in and play on that defense like Will Ford. They had great players around. How Bill Belichick handled value and got the most out of his players, that just seems gone. It just seems like he's got maybe outsmarted himself a bit and trying to just hey, I don't need anything crazy. Give me Mac Jones and some whatever
beans.
Draft picks, some magic beans. No free agent signings. Give me a broken down Cam Newton like he tried before, and I'll just go in and I can win a championship with that. And this year it feels a bit different because it does feel, unfortunately, like it's like a checked out team.
Yeah, and what makes it worse is this team last year, even with all their offensive struggles, was still able to stay in the mix because of how good their defense was. And now Judon's out multiple weeks. Their rookie corner Gonzalez was looking pretty solid to start the year. He's out for the year, so they're losing key players on defense, and that was their strength. Now it's gone.
It's gone.
See ya. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Yep. Bye-bye. Back to the basement.
Speaking of bad quarterbacks, one thing that has been a topic again this week, the Broncos being awful, of course. They've been bad.
It seems our favorite theme on the show.
I mean, it's the favorite theme of the NFL right now. We could dunk on Sean Payton again, and it would be pretty easy.
Cook. Don't let him
because, don't let him cook because
he can't cook. So.
One thing that has been on people's minds is just how bad was the Russell Wilson trade. A reminder, Wilson and a 4th-round pick was traded to the Broncos, and they gave up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, quarterback Drew Lock, that doesn't matter, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant. So players aren't like gigantic losses. They're losses you cover from. Giving up that many picks going for Russell Wilson and it ending up the way it is just it's a lot. And now you're having Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. You know, there's so many there's things going out about Russell Wilson where like Marshawn Lynch is like I don't even have his number. You know, we don't talk anymore. He was just a teammate to me. You know, Richard Sherman has said stuff about him. It seems like even before he got to the Broncos, really when he was trying to get out of the Seahawks, it's not like playing the result. For a lot of it is now, but that's blowing up to playing the result. But people have questioned him, his leadership, personality, and when you're losing like that with the Broncos, and you have Sean Payton, Mr. Bountygate, cut again, who has been questioned about his culture and everything, and he comes in and does this. It's like you could say the roster's bad, this and that. This is like, you know, like what just to make a comparison when people are like Deshaun Watson, plug him into the Browns, they're gonna do good. He could be, you know, if he's even like 75% good as he was in Houston, he could just go in and make Cleveland good. But you know what? But locker room and culture and that plays an effect at the NFL, because if you have a bunch of people there not bought in to wanting to play with Deshaun Watson, you don't have a lot of people bought in to want to play with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. You can't get yourself out of these situations where you're getting destroyed.
Starting to feel like a culture problem in Denver, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Sean Payton, when you come in and they're the rah-rah head coach where like we were all business, no play, and your business stinks.
It does. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple.
And
they're owned by the people who own Walmart. You'd think they know how to run a business. Although, to be fair, they were the ones that didn't hire Hackett and then fired Hackett and got Sean Payton. And it looked like it would at least get them to not be a disaster, but they're still a disaster.
Yeah. They're a train wreck disaster.
I mean, it's worse. Yeah, it's just worse because they were just like a regular bad team before that. Just
like even though like Wilson's stats have gotten slightly better, it's not good enough to carry a team. And when your defense is playing that badly, you need to. And as we mentioned, the defense keeps regressing.
Yeah, it's not
70
good.
points.
Yep.
That was.
I know people won't shut up about it, but for good reason. Like that game, I think tells you all you need to know about how dysfunctional the Broncos are right now.
Yeah.
Exactly, and. Dysfunction, there's a lot of dysfunction in the NFL this season, and speaking of that, we've got a new fan favorite segment, Who Blew It?
Who blew it?
Who blew it?
Yeah, who
Did you blow it? Did you blow it? I didn't blow it. Who blew it?
We're going to find out who blew it.
All I know is that I didn't.
Here on Sports Talk, we're going to talk about a sports team who blew it. Pretty simple concept. But it wasn't simple for the Baltimore Ravens to pull off a win against divisional rival Pittsburgh Steelers. They were up 10-0, and then in the second quarter, it was Chris Boswell hitting a field goal just before the 2-minute warning to make it 10-3. A safety in the fourth quarter on a punt that was blocked. A field goal to make it 10-8. A 41-yard touchdown from Pickett to Pickens to make it 14-10 with 1:17 left. And then a little field goal afterwards with 52 seconds to top it off. It was a bad loss for the Ravens, a team that has looked up and down. Lamar Jackson went 22 for 38, 236 yards, and an interception, no touchdowns. Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett, he didn't look like a world beater, but 18 for 32, 224 yards, and the touchdown to win them the game. The defense really stepped up for them. Pickens, 130 yards receiving. I mean, really, I mean, the Steelers, Ian, you predicted them to be, I believe, a 10, 11 win team on the season.
Yeah.
I still don't believe in that, but they have proved here, that they're always a well-coached team. The defense is good. If, the defense is playing like that against a stout offense like the Ravens, and, Pickett isn't making big mistakes, they're going to be in the mix. And they're a team that I said, I think that they're going to be 7 in the 6 to maybe 7 win range, up to 9 and possibly 10. That's just kind of how it is. When you talk about teams fighting for those wild cards in the AFC, there's like a 3 to 4 win range where it's like if a ball flips this way, a kick goes that way, they can get in. When you're out coached like the Steelers, they could definitely pull off some better wins like that. But a little bit of egg this week, so I'll let you talk about the Steelers for a bit here.
Yeah, no, the people thought I was stupid for that.
Yeah.
Thing is, this is why. This crap is why I had the Steelers that high, because even though they're definitely not, I didn't think they'd be, this team's so good, they're just going to win 11 games. No, this team's going to luck into some wins, because they always do. Every year they have at least 1 or 2 games that they get completely outplayed and find a way to win, and this was the first this year.
Yeah.
And they tend to do it to the AFC teams too, funnily enough.
No thanks to Matt Canada either.
Yet when they're chanting Fire Canada at Penguins games now, not just Steeler games. They were doing it at the Penguins game last night against the Blackhawks.
And then his reaction after Pickett audibled out of his play he called, his reaction said the whole thing. So.
Yep. Yeah. They audible out and they find a way to get a big play touchdown that ends up winning the game. So the Steelers, they always find a way to get those wins when they're just not playing very well. The problem is, long-term looking at it, that gives them an excuse to keep things the way they are. That gives Matt Canada job security. That's the sad truth of it. When the Steelers win games like that, Matt Canada keeps his job. If they just lost, like on paper they should, he would have probably been fired by now. But the fact they keep lucking in all these wins, it almost feels like that well-coaching culture, that defensive culture, that gritty culture, it wins you games, but that's the one double-edged sword aspect of it, is it keeps people around who are holding the team back from its potential. Like you said, Zach, they audible out of the play, and they get it done.
Good old Randy Moss audible, and then ends up working out.
Yeah, it ended up working out.
Because George Pickens is a beast.
He is.
Beast, yeah. He really is going to be, a top 5 receiver in the NFL for a while.
I heard that apparently he had dislocated one of his fingers.
Popped the thing back in,
got on the sideline, went right back in. Like, he is, I have no words. Like, his older brother, JJ, was like that too. Yeah, the whole Watt family, they're just insane.
Yeah.
Like, is there, like, some nuclear power plant in the area? Do they have, like, mutant powers or something? Like, I really have no idea.
Well, I'm sure the little brother Watt will be kissing babies and putting himself in it will be putting himself in lumberjack yards and doing photo ops soon enough. He'll have to get the PR of his older brother. But we have another new segment here, Ian's Wild Minute. Another segment we're bringing here to Sports Talk, where Ian Wild, you know him as the local hockey expert, talking about things like hockey, of course, football, and whatever else is his fancy. He's got a little bit of baseball knowledge, but he's got a lot more niche interests like that, like NASCAR, and talking deeply about hockey, which is getting more and more niche. Ian, we're giving you a minute here to just go wild and say whatever you want to. Are you prepared?
Oh, I'm prepared.
Oh,
I am prepared.
Well, you got 1 minute.
Look he just gave me was very, very intense. And Ian, we're going to start off your wild minute now.
So, the NHL just announced they're banning players from using Pride tape before games and warm-ups. This, of course, comes on the heels of last summer when the NHL got rid of Pride jerseys and all other specialty jerseys. And cannot stress to you enough how stupid this is. It sends the game backward decades, frankly. Hockey is for everyone. What a joke if you're going to go on and do that. And to the point where everyone in the hockey community is rightfully bashing this. Brian Burke, who a lot of people regard as a stubborn dinosaur, even he released a statement saying that this sends the game backwards and the NHL needs to do more for LGBTQ plus fans. You want to not be a niche sport? You want to expand a wider audience? Why are you turning your audience away? Why are you turning potential new fans away? It's sickening, and it's just emblematic of, frankly, I think a culture issue in this country where we're going backward on social issues. So the NHL needs to, frankly, get its head out of its ass, and hockey fans, you need to step up and make your voice heard this season.
Wow.
Minute on the dot. Thank you, Ian. Because that is a very important thing that has had pushback in the NHL. A lot of people point to it and talk about Russian players and the implications of that a good amount, but it's a lot of just the old school culture in hockey that comes from Canada, the United States. You see, Stahl brothers and other players that have fallen out with it and are part of the reason that this has happened, and it is disappointing because there's a lot of things about hockey culture that I think just has been swept under the rug that has been building up towards a thing like this. And
here's what's so stupid. It's tape.
Yeah.
You're banning rainbow tape from six, which I've heard rumors, not like confirmed, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard rumors that some players might just ignore it and just take the fine. And if that happens, good on them. Good on them. And I think NHL fans need to go to games and make their voices heard. That means rainbow face paint, wear your pride jersey that you have, bring a sign, let them know that this is not the sport that you follow and you love. We will not let this be the new normal in hockey. Yeah. Sorry that kind of went over the minute, but I think it needed to be said.
We agree. It's a very, very important thing, and I think, there needs to be pushback here because the NHL, like you said, they're trying to sweep it under the rug and trying to just things going, and because of hockey is more and more niche nowadays. That culture kind of builds up because there's not enough people challenging that. When it's not out in the popular stage, it'll be people from the outside looking in, being like, "Oh, that's just hockey. That's just how they do."
This is just going to get worse and worse too if we don't stand up to this. It's going to get worse and worse. The NHL is going to think we can do whatever we want now, and no one's going to push back on us. Yeah. So that's why this year, I was wondering if should I boycott this? And I thought no. That wouldn't do any good. Watch the games, engage on social media, be involved, and use that platform of being involved in hockey to make your voice heard. Because if everyone's raging about this, if everyone's making their voices heard, as I've seen on social media, I've seen almost unanimous condemnation of this, and I'm pleasantly surprised by that. We can make an impact, and we can get the NHL to reverse this. Yeah,
which would be
huge.
Yeah. I don't know if NHL will reverse it, work happen, but
hope they do.
It needs to be, set. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ian. And we'll try and end it here on a lighthearted note with Zach's underdog pick of the week, the fan favorite. Take it away.
Yeah. So this week for my underdog pick of the week or upset pick of the week, whatever you want to call it, I'm going with two teams who are in the basement. The Bears and Vikings will be playing against each other this week. Vikings are favored by 2.5 over the Chicago Bears. Vikings have beaten the Bears in their last 4 consecutive meetings. Well, that ends this week. Give me the Bears over the Vikings.
Okay.
And the reason for this pick is because, one, Justin Jefferson, he's out.
Yep, huge loss.
That Vikings defense is terrible. They couldn't stop a cold. So, and Fields, he's looked good. I got to say, he has looked good.
At least the last few weeks.
Last
rough
few weeks.
Start, but he's getting better.
Last few weeks, he's looked, pretty decent, and I think he can lead his team to the victory. And DJ Moore, we got to credit his play too. He's been playing pretty well. So, give me the Bears over the Vikings this week.
I'm surprised that the Vikings are only favored by 2.5. I thought it'd be a little more, but yeah, I could see the Bears pulling that off. I think the momentum is a little more on their side, funnily enough, than it is for Minnesota, even though they're coming off a long week. And if they can get this win, I think it's a little too late to save any playoff hopes, but could go a long way to when you think, oh, maybe Justin Fields isn't a complete bust after all.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me the Bears Sunday.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that the Bears aren't favored in that game, honestly, just because similar record, and like you said, the injuries and consistency.
The Vikings, I think, clearly have the better roster,
Yeah.
which is why the sportsbook gave it to them. And personally, if I were running the sportsbooks, I probably would have had it at least 3.5. You'd think you want to give at least a field goal margin. I think the Vikings on paper are that much better, but
I need this upset. I'm 0-2 so far. I need this upset.
I mean, it's close, which is why I would assume that it's a bit close, but the Bears get the hometown bump a little bit, but I'll give it to you, Zach. I won't say it's a coward pick.
definitely I think much better chance with Justin Jefferson out.
Yeah.
A much better chance with Justin Jefferson for sure. I mean, him being down is gonna be tough. You have to wonder if Kirk Cousins, if the Jets maybe pull another one off, or just the Vikings go down again. Maybe trade talks go up a little bit more.
So basically, if you're a Jets fan, root for the Bears.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Do they like Zach Wilson now at all?
Who knows?
I have no idea.
Who knows? We don't know anything.
No.
The world of sports is a mystery, and we try to unpack it here every week.
Go sports.
Indeed. Great message to end this show. Go sports.
Oh, yeah.
That'll do it for us this week on Talon Sports Club. Thank you guys for tuning in for an audio-only episode. Next week we will be back fully and functioning, and you'll be able to see Zach's beautiful face in HD. How do you feel about that, Zach?
Feels great.
Even if it's 240p, it'd be welcome.
Wow.
Well, it won't be 240p. I'll make sure of that.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure.
Depending on your Wi-Fi situation.
Well, yeah, that's your fault. Won't be my fault.
Exactly.
See you next week.